When Sarah met James, she felt as though she had found the one. Their connection was immediate. Two souls that seemed destined to meet. To share everything. She had been through heartbreak before, but this time felt different. He was attentive, loving, and seemed genuinely invested in building a future together. As the days turned into months, Sarah's heart expanded with each passing moment, trusting more and more in the love they were building. Yet beneath the surface, something wasn't right. Sarah couldn't place it at first. It was subtle. The long hours he spent at work, the late-night calls he always took in private, and the distance that began to grow between them. At first, she brushed it off, telling herself that he was just busy, that their relationship was strong enough to survive these small hurdles. But deep inside, a nagging feeling grew. She trusted James with all her heart, but doubt crept in like a silent shadow. One evening, after a particularly quiet dinner, Sarah's phone buzzed on the table. Her best friend, Claire, had sent her a message with just one line. "Is everything okay with James? I think I saw him with another woman today." Sarah froze. Her heart dropped into her stomach. She didn't want to believe it. Claire had to be mistaken. James would never do that to her. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it began to grow uncontrollably. She brushed off the message for a few days, convincing herself it was a misunderstanding. But she couldn't shake the thought from her mind. Finally, Sarah decided to confront him. That evening, she waited until he came home from work, her heart pounding in her chest. "James," she asked quietly, trying to sound calm, "is there something you need to tell me?" He looked at her, his eyes momentarily betraying a flicker of guilt before he masked it with a smile. "What do you mean?" "Everything's fine, Sarah." But Sarah could see it, the hesitation, the defensive tone in his voice. "I need to know the truth," she said, her voice trembling. "Is there someone else?" James didn't answer immediately. Instead, he shifted uncomfortably, avoiding her gaze. The silence stretched on, unbearable until he finally spoke, his voice strained. "I didn't want to hurt you, Sarah. But yes, there's someone else." The words hit her like a slap, sharp and cold. She took a step back, her knees buckling beneath her. Her mind struggled to process the reality of what she had just heard. This wasn't supposed to happen. She wasn't supposed to be here, feeling this deep, gut-wrenching pain. She had trusted him with everything, and now, in one moment, all of it came crashing down. "How long?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. 6 months, he replied, his voice almost lifeless. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. I never meant for it to go this far." But those words meant nothing. They were just empty excuses for a betrayal that cut deeper than anything else could. Sarah could feel the walls she had so carefully built around her heart crumbling, leaving her exposed and vulnerable. She could feel her world shattering into a million pieces, each one sharp and painful. She couldn't look at him anymore. "How could you do this to me?" she cried, her tears falling uncontrollably. "How could you lie to me every day? I loved you with everything I had." James didn't respond. He simply stood there, guilt written all over his face, but it didn't matter. The damage had been done. The days that followed were a blur. Sarah found herself in a haze, struggling to comprehend the magnitude of her heartbreak. She had given so much of herself to James, and now it felt as though everything had been a lie. The trust she had placed in him had been shattered beyond repair. Her heart, once full of love, was now empty, hollowed out by betrayal. She tried to move on, to piece together the broken fragments of her life. But it wasn't easy. The memories of their time together haunted her every waking moment. She kept replaying the moments when they had laughed, when they had talked about their future, when everything felt right. And now, all of that seemed so distant, like it had never really existed. One night, a month after everything had ended, Sarah found herself walking through the streets of the city, unsure of where she was headed. Her thoughts were scattered, her heart aching with each step. As she walked, she came across a small park, and for some reason, she found herself sitting on a bench, staring out into the darkness. It was in that moment that she realized something. The pain would never truly go away. She would carry the scars of this betrayal with her, but she could also choose how to move forward. She could let the bitterness consume her, or she could find a way to heal. It wasn't going to be easy, but she knew she had to try. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah began to rebuild. Slowly, but surely, she learned to trust herself again. She realized that the love she had given James was real, even if he hadn't been worthy of it. She would never forget the betrayal, but she would no longer let it define her. One day, months later, Sarah ran into James at a cafe. He looked different, more worn down, his eyes no longer filled with the warmth that had once drawn her to him. He tried to apologize, but Sarah just looked at him, her heart no longer filled with anger. She had moved on. "I hope you find what you're looking for," she said, her voice steady and calm. And with that, she turned and walked away. As Sarah continued on her journey, she learned that love wasn't just about trusting others. It was about trusting herself and finding strength in the face of heartbreak. The shadow of betrayal would always linger, but it no longer controlled her. She had learned to walk in the light, and in doing so, she found a new kind of peace.